Hello, 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 and welcome back to another episode. It is going to be an interesting one today because we are going to be working on the Evo 10, and as you can tell behind me, it is this is a very cold day outside. As you can imagine, we're close to the new year, and it is super cold. Right now is, well, I really don't believe that it's that temperature outside. So it's got to be colder outside, like somewhere around like the 20s. In here it is 38 degrees. So came out earlier to turn on the heat, and it's blasting, but we still got a little bit left to do here. But our main focus today will be the MR. So this is my 2008 Evo 10 MR, and right now I have had a lot of issues with it, So let me pop the hood for you guys real quick and show you guys. Really not anything to see. Some of my stuff is taken off, as you can kind of tell. The main reason why we got this bad boy in here, let me just show you guys what we're working with here. So I have, let me pop the trunk. All right, so let's turn this bad boy on. Now, a quick reminder for those of you who have no idea about this car. It has over, it has over 200 and let's see, let me get to the spot here. 216,000 miles. Can you see that? All right. Turn this bad boy off. Come on. All right, but anyway, the car has over 216,000 miles on it, and finally, I think something finally went. So I'm gonna try to start the car here real quick. This is the key, and let me see what it does here. So put it in park, and let's see if this thing will start. All right, so all right, it's not a great representation of what this car is, but over 216,000 miles on it. All right, so you can tell it's kind of clicking in, and but that is not the an accurate representation of what's going on here with this car. What's going on with this car is that even with jump pack, even with you know, the booster box that I do have down here that I did just shut on, the car will not crank at all. Just will not crank. When I say crank, I mean like no starter. Like the starter is just like, it's just like almost like it's fused to the transmission or something like that. So yeah, we're in a bad spot here. So I know what you're thinking. Why don't you just change out the starter? Well, I did that, and still same results. So what I did have to do was I actually had the wifey sitting in the car with the jump box, cranking it with the wheel off, a long extension on the crankshaft, and I spun it. So we're gonna get this thing up in the air real quick, and I'm gonna show you exactly what I'm talking about here. So I thought that the motor could be seized or something like that, and be honest with you, with as many miles as it's got on it, I wouldn't have really been that upset. I would have just bought a motor and just did everything that I needed to do. But I'm able to actually spin this thing pretty freely backwards. You're really not supposed to spin it backwards, but the fact that I can spin it backwards And let me just show you here quick. So as you can tell, yes, all the plugs are out of the valve cover here. So there's no plugs, it's no coil packs, obviously. So nothing there to actually hold the engine back from actually spinning, you know what I mean? But yet I have absolutely no crank at all. So brand new starter, hand on the crank itself, and the wife spinning it, and it still won't crank, still won't do anything. So now I'm at the point where you know, spinning it backwards, I feel like the motor is fine, because if it were not fine, if it were seized at all, I wouldn't be able to spin the crank at all. But yeah, so as of right now, since this thing is an MR and it's not a it's not a 5-speed manual transmission, it is the SST. I think that the SST needs to come out. So that's what we're gonna focus on with this video today. I've never taken out one of these things, so I'm brand new to I've had this car for a long time, but I've never actually like had to pull it out for anything, any reason. I don't think that they're going to be very difficult. They're a very big car, but everything is on underneath. So it does have an oil or a trans cooler, does have a trans filter. I think it's just a regular bolts that go up to the ACD pump and the you know, the transfer case, and a couple bolts in the back where the motor connects the transmission to the block. So I don't think that it's really going to be that difficult. A little bit more difficult than what I'm usually dealing with Ivy and Sapphire, but you know, it's just everything is just backwards, you know what I mean? Intake manifold is up front, exhaust and turbo is out back. So hopefully I don't have to pull any of that stuff to actually get the transmission out. But yeah, we're just gonna start and get as much stuff as we can off of this thing. It doesn't look like the transmission is very big at all, so that's a big positive. So hopefully I can just get this bad boy out, and hopefully like it'll just sit. Hopefully the transmission will just, you know, pop right out. So we'll just have to see. So let me set the camera up, let me put some gloves on, and yeah, we'll get right to work. Let's get it rocking. People, so as you can tell, I was messing with this thing a while ago, you know, during the end of the summertime, but it was still kind of nice, not brick like it is now. But as you can tell, I have a 22 millimeter on the crank pulley itself. Now let me show you exactly. All right, so I have this on, and that's how much force, and it's not even moving. So you would expect this thing to actually move clockwise, but it's definitely not. I can't move it anything clockwise at all. So let me move it counterclockwise, and let me show you how easy this is. Look at how easy it is to move counterclockwise. No issues at all. So I think that my transmission is just gone. It's just gone. Actually, what I want to do is try to put a smaller extension on. Put a smaller extension. Yeah. Put a little 3-inch stubby extension on, and let me see if I can get any more kind of torque out of this thing. All right. you're talking, that's a lot of torque on that thing, and I really don't want to spin it any more than what I have to. But there it is. There's everything that I need to show you. But yeah, so the crank isn't really moving whatsoever. Like I said before, it does move in reverse rotation, which obviously it's not supposed to, but it is one of those things, you know what I mean? So from here on in, now we got to get the transmission out. So not exactly sure how I'm gonna do that. Like I said before, I don't think that it's gonna be a terribly difficult thing to do. It's not like well, everything is kind of covered down here. As you can see, everything is covered. But let me get this shielding off and let me see what we're kind of working with. So give me 1 second. Let me take this off and I'll get back to you. All right, people, all the splash guards are off. There's like 200 clips here. Like, it's ridiculous. But underneath here, we are kind of almost set to start pulling some stuff off here. There is a lot of rust on my subframe here, but I can't punch a hole through it. Can't punch a hole through it just yet. So I think we're still pretty solid here. Mind you, this car 200,000 miles, and I do drive it unlike the rest of my cars, so which is a very good thing. So yeah, I don't exactly know what's going on, but I honestly don't think that this thing is going to be very hard to get out. Now that I'm looking at it from underneath, I don't think it's really going to be that hard to get out. The hardest thing is actually going to be getting off all of the unnecessary stuff. So the transfer case is looking like it's probably going to be like, it's 2 bolts that I can see, probably plus another 4 bolts on top, and then probably like 6 bolts around the transmission itself. Once we actually can get the transfer case separated, we should be able to move the transmission and look to see if we can't get the transmission moved. So front, and it should have one in the rear, a rear trans mount. Yep, rear trans mount. So and then I think we should be able to pull this bad boy out. So let me get the other wheel off here, and let me start getting the axles out, because I think those are going to be the first things we're going to have to do. And if it's anything like all the rest of the Evo 8s and 9s that I've worked on before, there is a shaft that goes through the transmission into the transfer case. And if that's the case, it should be pretty simple, you know what I mean? I think I'm going to try to do this in another couple hours here, because like I said before, I've never pulled the transmission out of this thing, so it will be brand new to me. So yeah, let's start by getting that wheel off, getting those axles out. All right, people, so I know it's a little difficult for you guys to see, but this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the ball joint separated from the knuckle here, and once I do that, I can actually pull these axles out. This one here, and then this one here. I can get them both out with no problem, and then I can pull the cotter pin here and the castle nut. We can get these bad boys out and not have to worry about suspension geometry, so I don't have to worry about getting a new alignment for anything or doing anything like that. Might just have to pull this the outer tie rod end off. So let me work on that for a couple minutes here. Let me get that done, and then I'll cut back when I have that stuff all finished up. All right, people, so we are I did take both axles out, and I did get the little half shaft thing out, and took me a little bit to get done. There is a small half shaft here, which on Evo 8s and 9s, this one comes out and this one stays. So that was a little different, but really not that crazy. So next thing we're gonna have to do is I might just have to take this plate off here. Might just have to take this you know, support bar and take that off. Maybe. Well, right now I probably will, because there's a bolt hidden. Well, there's a bolt hidden here, 2 bolts hidden, well, not hidden, but 2 bolts here. I'm gonna have to take this shield off. These are 2 10s. These look like 14s, 14 on the other side. And then we're gonna let the car down just a little bit to see what I can see from the top. Normally there's 3 or 4 bolts at the top up there, and then we can actually separate the transfer case from the transmission. So if that's the case, it should be a fairly simple ordeal, and we can move forward from there. I didn't have any leakage, which is kind of weird. Usually I have gear oil like leaking everywhere, but I have no gear oil leaking anywhere just yet. I haven't drained the transmission just yet. I will do that at the very end before I do drop it, or I might, I don't know, I might just pull out the engine trans and actually drain it while I have it on the engine trans. But anyway, either way, I do have to start rocking and rolling on this bad boy here, because yeah, we are uh-oh, something happened. But yeah, we are rocking and rolling here, and we're just gonna keep it rocking, and we're gonna get this transmission out today, so let's keep it rocking. All right, ladies and gentlemen, folks, so I'm not even gonna lie to you, I've been struggling with this bad boy. So up in here there were 3 bolts holding the transfer case to the transmission, and it was covered up by a heat shield. So that was 3 10mm up there, and then I could separate the transfer case. So here's the transfer case separated here. There was a bolt, 14mm bolt. You can see it right there. Yeah, you might be able to see it, but yeah, there was a 14mm bolt up in there. So honestly, like, I'm not gonna time lapse any of this stuff, because 1, I don't have any heat in here. My my pellet stove took a dump on me, and my air conditioning heater core pump thing or whatever, it goes out every now and again. So it is very sporadic. So I might just have to switch over to my propane heater while I'm finishing this up. So yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is cut back when I'm actually ready to pull this bad boy out, and then we can keep it going from there, because yeah, I don't want to time lapse any more of this. Number 1, I'm cold, and I'm just getting really annoyed with this car right now. So but yeah, so I'll cut back when I'm ready to pull this bad boy out. Okay, as you can tell, it's change clothes, because it is a new day. Yesterday I got so into trying to get this trans out that it took me a long time. I did not know exactly where I should start, what I should do, but I was trying to take off as little as I possibly could, and none of that worked. So our current predicament is do have the trans out. I do have the subframe out with the ASD transfer case, and as you can tell, I literally tried to get the steering rack off. I tried to do a bunch of stuff, like but this subframe is just so rusted that none of it was coming off, like absolutely none of it. So I actually think that I might look for a new subframe for this car, because this one here just looks so bad that I don't know if I could really run it. But yeah, so the trans is out. So how to get this bad boy out, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. So ASD transfer case, I undid the line here, It is a 12 millimeter bolt that holds it to the car. 14 millimeter bolt that banjo bolt or whatever you want to call it, bolt. That's that. All the power steering lines. So this is the high pressure power steering line that goes to the pump. So that comes into the car. So you want to undo that. You want to undo the low pressure power steering line, which is here, which is underneath. So yeah, there's a line. Hold on. Let's see. All right. So this low pressure line here, undo the low pressure line and clamp off. Like, I have a ton of these clamps here. So you want to clamp off the low pressure line going to the rack. So you want to clamp that off. You want to clamp off the high pressure line up top that goes to the reservoir, just so that like nothing is moving. You know what I mean? Whatever's just in the system, that's what it is. Nothing else is moving. So I think that's really it. You go into the car, and you actually take off the side over here for the I don't know, wow, what do you want? The intermediate shaft. So it's a 12 millimeter bolt that goes there. And then you come underneath the car. It is 3 12 millimeter bolts back here, just to kind of line up the subframe. It is I think this is a 21. Yes, 21 in the rear, 21 up front here, and then from there, everything should definitely just come off. Besides all the bolts that you have around the actual transmission. So just keep that in mind whenever you're doing this. I think that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think 7 around the actual transmission itself, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 around the transfer case. So yeah, it's not that difficult to do, but like, it is literally my first time doing it. I thought it was definitely gonna be like like Ivy here, but it is definitely not. Like, things are definitely a little bit different, and I think it's definitely got something to do with this this automatic trans. So the automatic trans is definitely it's a whole different breed. But one thing I did want to show you guys when we started the video, hopefully you guys, well, it'll be all in one video, but I could not turn the crank at all forwards, but I can only do it backwards. But look at how simple this thing moves now. So whatever's going on, it's definitely happening inside the trans. Whenever you do, oh, this thing is leaking like crazy. Whenever you do take out the trans itself, you will need something to support the engine. This is what my contraption is right now. A little Harbor Freight jammy. I did a review on this a long time ago. But what I'm going to do, actually, just to move this thing back and forth in and out of the garage, is I'm actually going to put the subframe back in. Minus the transfer case itself. I'm going to just yeah, take off everything. I'm not gonna power steering lines, I'm probably not gonna touch. I'm just gonna put rags around them. The transfer case, like I said before, will come out just so I can steer the car, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I still need to drain this bad boy, and I need to find a shipping company to actually that I can actually take this to, you know what I mean? So as you can tell over here on the side, I do have all of my electronics just sitting across the side over here. I'm not really worried about the paint because, you know, it's got 216,000 miles on it. But yeah, so, oh geez, it was a nightmare. It took me, like I said before, majority of yesterday and about 2 hours today, 2.5 hours today. Because like I said, I didn't know what I'm doing, but now that I've done it, I know exactly what I need to do. Like, go for the subframe and let everything out for you know, like that. So but yeah, I'm going to put the subframe back together and somewhat back together, and then I'm going to put this thing back on the floor, and so I can move it around. But yeah, this is what I'm gonna leave this video off. Hopefully you enjoyed my agony and sorrow. Like, this thing took, like I said before, way longer than I ever expected. But now I'm going to be shopping around to see which place that I can go. I've been hearing a lot of fantastic things about Cosmic, so I might just be sending it there. But the problem is I need to find a shipping company that can and will do it for me, because I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I know I have to palletize this thing. If I send it to Jax, Jax actually sends me a shipping like container kind of thing. Like, they could actually deal with all of that. But I don't know yet. I have no idea. So I'm gonna take the rest of this day and clean up my mess, because it is definitely a mess. But yeah, if you enjoyed the content, please like, comment, subscribe. If you like this video and want to see more on the 200,000 mile Evo 10 and how it's gonna go, please hit that bell for notifications. You know, think about subscribing. Until then, I'll see you there. Deuces.